Today is going to be a deep dive into the immobilizer unit, the chip in the key that flashes the green light or steady green light that looks like a key on your dashboard.
All right, here's where we sit in episode 6, part 6, Honda Insight repair. So the last episode, its big finale was I installed the eBay Immobilizer chip bypass into the ECM, but it didn't fix anything. I'm still having that misfire that feels like the engine dies and then the green light comes on. And you know, one of the posts where on InsightCentral where somebody reverse engineered what the eBay Immobilizer chip does, its little light signal, apparently all it does is it's on a timer. When it gets powered up, it turns on that light for 2 seconds and then it goes away. And then, you know, the actual bypass is just a signal going to the computer that it wants to see to keep the fuel pump running. So what that means is if I'm seeing the light, this is what I think it means. If I'm seeing the light come on after the engine shuts off and then comes back on, that means that eBay Immobilizer chip bypass is getting reset somehow, like it's losing power and coming back on. I believe that's what it means. So to understand how the system works, we're going to have to look at, you know, the service manual and wiring diagrams and all sorts of stuff. So let's just dive right into that. Okay, we're going to do screen capture on the computer for this one.
All right, from InsightCentral.net, I'll link to this post so you can find it. But it's the electrical troubleshooting manual and body repair manual. And these two books contain linked pages. So for easy navigation through them, extract all the PDFs for the manual into one folder, then open any one of the PDFs in the folder, click on the main menu button, and go to the start page. So I downloaded that. What it looks like is this. It's just more or less completely confusing. So with the index, if you just double click it, it just comes up in a web browser, and then when you click things, nothing happens. So what I wound up doing is I downloaded Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, you know, because my computer didn't have it for whatever reason. So what I wound up having to do is right-click, open with Adobe Acrobat, and then you have something that's useful. And so down here in the middle row, we have the immobilizer system, the ignition system. So let's click immobilizer system. You click that, and it takes you to this page. One thing that I find very frustrating is if I click, say, photo, like where is fuse 7 under the hood, if I click that, I can't figure out any way to go back to get to the previous page I was on. So what I wind up having to do is open up the folder, and then I open with Acrobat Reader again, and then I have to start over. So I don't know if there's a better way of doing this. I'm sure there has to be, but maybe it's because it's a free version. It's not making all the links work, but this is the way I found to make the links work. Anyways, now that we're in it, we're in the immobilizer system. So right here, it says hot all the time, all the times, hot in on or start, hot all the times. And then down here we have the ECM. So we have some power inputs to the ECM, and then we have some immobilizer inputs, blah, 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 blah. One thing to note, there is different year models represented on the same graph. So 2000, 2004, 2005, 2006. And then there is also differences for automatic versus manual transmission. So anyways, under the hood fuse relay box, fuse number 7, it is a white and green wire. You follow that down till you get to the PGM FI main relay. And so this hot all the time fuse 7 is powering the part of the relay which will switch. So this is the part that turns on and off when this circuit over here is completed. When you turn the ignition on over here, it completes this circuit, and then it allows power to flow from here down to the ECM and over to the fuel cut relay. So real quick, I've been making some cheat graphics. Fuse 7 right there under the hood, fuel pump fuse. So that's where the power starts. The battery comes into this fuse block and it powers this fuse, and then this fuse protects, whatever's down the line. 15 amp fuse to go to the next relay and to the ECM. Then you follow this, the white green wire, all the way down to the PGM FI main relay. And so these are all images that I found inside of the PDF files. So it shows right here, the PGM FI main relay is underneath the dash. I think that's the steering column, and it's some of the air conditioning unit in the center console or something. It's right there. It describes what it does, but I tried to make it a little bit more simple. So number 1 is the power to the ECM. Number 2 is from the fuse, the side that gets switched on and off. And then the side that once it gets polarized switches this on and off. You have the relay ground, which is constant. And then they are switching the positive of this relay on and off with the ignition switch. So the ignition switch over here, powered by fuse 2, another 15 amp switch. It is a black and red wire. You come down and then you pick your year. Do you want to go to the 2000, 2004 route? Do you want to go to the 2005, 2006 route? And mine is a 2000. And it comes down here, and it's intermittent switching this PGM FI main relay on and off, the relay under the dash on the driver's side. From there, that controls whether or not power goes to the ECM and if power makes it to the fuel cutoff relay. So the fuel cutoff relay, it is switched by the fuel pump control provides ground to this relay to switch. So and it's very confusing having multiple year options, but basically all it is in 2005 they decided that they would prefer to switch this main relay for the PGM FI main relay. They decided they wanted to switch it with the negative. The 2005-2006 ground is switched on and off by the ECM. So they decided that it was a bad idea switching the positive on and off for this relay. Maybe because, on positive sides you get more sparks and the relays don't last as long, but they corrected that. And since they corrected that, they had to do some other wiring changes. But we're going to maintain focus on the 2000-2004 wiring harness. So also, from the ignition switch, we follow this down, black and red, and this provides power to the fuel cutoff relay. And then number 3, the fuel pump control powered by the immobilizer is what turns this on, allowing the switching of power back and forth on and off for the fuel pump. And so the fuel pump actually gets its power from this one, Fuse 7, controlled by this relay. Isn't that kind of interesting? So this relay comes on, and it provides power not only to the ECM, but to the fuel pump. And whether the second fuel pump relay comes on is controlled by the ECM. So are all these things making sense? The deal is, I am not quite sure where the immobilizer chip gets its power from, because they don't provide, not that I could find in these documents, how the ECM is powered. So this is the ECM power and ground, and basically you have Fuse 7, which we already looked at. It provides these two power sources from this relay to the ECM. 2005 has an extra one. In 2004, you have hot all the time, 7.5 amp fuse, so constant power from the battery to the ECM. And then you have all of these grounds going to one specific spot. This spot is really interesting. So this explains why it's so important to have all of the grounds wires going to the transmission and the engine intact, because this ground right here, the whole computer is grounded right here to the engine. And so all those ground straps that we worry about all the time, those have to be intact for this ground to work properly, which I find, fascinating. But basically, the ECM only gets power from a few places. See, I can't go back. So I don't know how to find that again. Oh, look, I already had some of the stuff open. And then, you can find the connectors, every wire you need to test. It's a pretty awesome resource that InsightCentral, someone posted to it that we can have access to all this stuff. So maybe the clue is, since they decided to switch this from a positive control switch for this relay to a negative control switch to this relay in 2005, that maybe this relay is causing my problems. And that's preventing this immobilizer circuit from powering up. Because you can see the immobilizer receiver unit, it also gets its power from this relay. So not only does the power go through the PGM-FI main relay to the ECM, it also goes to the immobilizer receiver unit. And what that is that's this round thing that reads the key. Oh, God, now I'm going to have to... See, as soon as I click on it, I'm so frustrated by this because I just don't know how to make it better. So we're going to open with Acrobat. We're going to go down to the immobilizer system, and then we're back. So it gets its power from that first relay we looked at. It goes into here, and then there's, of course, a ground, the same ground that the ECM uses as a ground, and then it will give you the code input and the immobilizer enable input. I don't really know what that means. And then the immobilizer indicator control. This is the light bulb on the dash. But anyways, let's look at this in the real world and see if we can figure out how it looks on the car properly.
All right, so we got the 12-volt battery in the positive side. One of these wires comes around and it plugs in right here. And then we've got this 80-amp fuse. I'm pretty sure it bridges both these sides. Let's just double check that real quick. One end on the negative of the battery. This is where it comes in. We got 12. And over here, we also have 12. And then this one, it goes wherever it goes. I don't know right now. And then what we have is fuse 7 for the fuel pump. This 15-amp fuse, 12.7. 12.7. All right, so we're under the dash, and right here, that appears to be the relay. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it, see if I can take a look at it. All right, to get this out, I had to lay on my back in the floorboard of this tiny little car and pinch a couple clips with one hand, then the other hand wiggle this out. So I just wanted to do that for one reason, and that's to see what all it controls with the ignition. All right, with this under the dash relay removed, we don't get a check engine light or an immobilizer light. And then from the under the dash relay, it then also activates this relay. This one has scratches on it. These all have scratches on them. So this has been pulled out before to be checked. And I'm gonna have to put pliers on it, put some more scratches on it. This one doesn't appear to have any scratch marks on it, but I did get it off with my fingers, so maybe someone else did too in the past. All right, let's just yank this old boy out. All right, just for shits and giggles, let's check resistance. So normal resistance is almost no resistance. Look at that, 0.1, sometimes 2 or 3. So the circuit that you complete to switch is the 2 silver ones. When that circuit's completed, this one will switch. So let's just check resistance of this one. 76.6. And let's check resistance of this one. 77.5. So those are about the same resistance. Yeah, this is regular ohms. Now let's just pull out a different relay just to see what different relays might read. I doubt we'd have a double failure, but you never know. So that's 105.5 ohms. Let's try one of these gray ones. Gosh, 120. Okay. So these blue ones are probably fine. Oh, that's concerning. Now, before we move on, I'm going to check the resistance in the switch side of the relay. So I don't really know how to check a relay. So I'm gonna try to find a place to shove some wires. All right, so there's the positive. So it switches real nice. And then prop that up somewhere. Then I'm going to go to resistance in ohms. And let's just see. Almost nothing was what you expect. Because this side's like an electromagnet, so there'd be some sort of resistance. So let's go ahead and swap. So I think that works great. And then this one switches really good. So this should also be almost nothing. Yep, almost nothing. So I'm convinced these relays are fine. Now we can move on to other issues. So another thing to consider is the shared ground that the computer uses. So it shows the ground being somewhere over here. It looks like the ground is actually back here on the back versus right here on top right here. That shouldn't make any difference, but let's go ahead and check that for its resistance. Let's just try top of the engine, see how much resistance there is. Almost no resistance, so that's good. Now let's try almost no resistance. So I don't think it's a grounding issue, and I don't think it's a relay issue. That sort of leaves like an ECM issue. Relays are back in. Let's just make sure. Check engine light and the green light. Come on, good. If the immobilizer is switching this on and off, this relay, what is stopping me from just bypassing this relay as a test? So I'm going to go ahead and pull this relay out one more time. Okay, key off. No voltage either side. Let's try this bypass real quick. All right, so I'm bypassing this relay, this all together. Let's see if it starts. Hey, yeah, it starts. So let me go ahead and get a resistance test set up. So ignition off, no connection. Ignition on, we get a short burst of ground to this relay, but it's not until it's running that you get a constant ground. The resistance in the ground to this relay, this is the ground coming from the CPU, I mean the ECM, is 60, sometimes 50 ohms. So the ground on the computer might not be doing so good. That's something that we need to consider. And then once I turn it off, that should die. And then now there's no connection. All right, so I'm driving, and guess what? With that relay bypass, the relay that is switched by the computer, I still had one of those violent misfires where the green light comes on. I'm going to try to show it to y'all, but I don't know if it's, it's just so hard to capture on film. But it's happening. So it's not a fuel pump issue, I don't believe. I'm trying here. I'm struggling a bit, but maybe we'll get another. So the check engine light, that has been on for a while. We're just cruising at 60, going uphill. I'm being easy on the throttle, trying to maintain good fuel economy. But let's just see if we can get another hesitation. Like, what controls the green light besides the computer? I mean, my theory is that the ECM is having problems. I think I got an ECM issue and not an immobilizer switch issue. And the immobilizer light is coming on when the ECM loses power or something. Okay, so I might be on the wrong track thinking it's not the immobilizer, but the evidence that I've been able to collect with my little test is that it's an ECM problem. And not only that, it's been doing some other weird stuff. Like the auto stop for the engine is intermittent. Typically it does it when it's cold first thing in the day, then it won't do it for the rest of the day. And then also the charge, like the brake, regenerative braking, charge indicator, when I just let off the gas at any time, it kind of like a Tesla, it starts doing full regen until the RPM gets low enough it stops it. So I'm leaning towards an ECM problem of some sort. So I don't know how to diagnose that just yet, but I'm probably going to have to pull the ECM and look around. So this whole time I've had a check engine light on. Let's go ahead and read it, see what it says before we go any further. All right, here's something kind of weird. So I'm getting blinks from everything, IMA code, EPS, ABS, but the check engine light is just solid on. All right, let's count these IMA blink codes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, it's just repeating. 1, 2. Okay.
All right. So assuming that I read those IMA blink codes right, we're over here at 99milespergallon.com, and we're looking at all these blink codes, IMA blink codes, transcribed into numbers. So I'm pretty sure that I had a 2, a 4, and a 6. I don't think it was a 42 or a 62. There's space in between them. So a 6, a 4, and a 2. Power command signal, high input. Engine torque signal, circuit high input. Mode signal, circuit high input. The P1607, the 2. Power command signal. So, I mean, those are quick blinks. So 2 short blinks. So this is the, it's a signal coming from the ECM to the MCM. And basically what this says is there is a range that the ECM is supposed to be sending out from 0.5 volt to 4.5 volts to the MCM. And so if the MCM reads voltage higher than a set range, an open signal wire is detected and the DCT is stored. And then so let's look at 4 short blinks. Now we have the engine torque signal, and it's the same thing. If the MCM reads voltage higher than a set range, open signal wire is detected, and the DCT is stored. And then finally, the 6 short blinks. It's the same thing. It's the mode signal circuit 1 high input. And, if the MCM reads blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I think that is more evidence that the ECM is messing up somehow. So the reason why I had to go to the 99milespergallon.com is because, in this resource pack that I got from InsightCentral, the PDFs don't show the blink codes. There's no blink codes here. So I'll post a link to this page. I mean, it's easy to find, but I'll go ahead and post it just so you can, find that. It'll be this page that I link to, and then you open these tabs up to find the Blink codes. So another thing, I was looking on eBay, and look at this beauty right here. Totally smashed to hell somehow. Hopefully they walked out okay. But anyways, the ECM for this car is available, and what I like about this car is that it was obviously driving, right? So it probably has a very good ECM plus the price. So see, it's $58, but it's going to take forever to show up, and be a couple weeks out, maybe longer. But I think I could wait that long to have one that I know was in a working car. All the other ones are kind of up there in price a bit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and scoop that up, because what I'm going to try to do to repair my ECM will probably destroy it, because I really don't know what I'm doing. And then I'll also buy another one of these, the Immobilizer Bypass board. All right, so before I start looking into my ECM on the inside again, I need to get my Forerunner running. And its battery died on me last week, and I was trying to bring it back to life. It's a maintenance-free battery, so you peel the sticker off, and then you can remove these plugs. I just dug them out with a knife. But so we're cooking at like 4 amps right now, and I don't know if there's 4 cells that bubble, and then there's a couple cells that do nothing. So I can't bring it back to life. It was super low in water. Put more distilled water in it. I thought I'd give it a shot to try to bring it back to life, but 3 days of trying to charge it, I just bumped it up to 4 amps to show you how much it bubbles. I had it real low, just trying to see if I could bake off the sulfites or sulfates, whatever it is that builds up on the plates. But obviously that's not going to work. So I'm going to buy a battery for my Forerunner. Then on the way, I'm going to take the Insight and read the code to see if a scan tool can figure out why that check engine light is on solid. All right, so I just left O'Reilly's. First one is an EVAP problem. The same check engine light from the last episode, so that didn't resolve it. But we're getting the ECM internal circuit malfunction, and most of the time it's the relays that I've already messed with that are causing this, says the internet. But whatever. So some more evidence to the ECM problems. First of all, a new battery was $143. Yikes. That's pretty pricey. The ECM internal circuit malfunction error codes for the 2004 to 2006 model is a P1607, but for my 2000, it's a P1607. And so here it is. I went ahead and I set the PDFs open by default into Adobe Acrobat Reader, so I don't have to right-click and tell it to open there. But there's no links on this. So the engine control module, internal circuit malfunction for the CVT. Looking at this, the CVT is just missing one little component. But mine's a manual, so this isn't really applicable. But if something is wrong with the engine control module, and there is loss of monitor signal from the backup CPU, or the communication signal from the AF CPU are abnormal for a set time period, or an abnormality in the communication signal occurs in a set number of times continuously, a malfunction is detected, and the DTC is stored. Let's go to the manual transmission one. There's this EEPROM thing in there also. So anyways, look at this. There's a main CPU, a backup CPU, main injection, switching gate. There's communication internally in the ECM, and the ECM has multiple computers. So, maybe that's the deal. Anyways, I have entered the stage of I'm past my knowledge base, and everything is going to be speculation from here on out. There's totally a situation where the ECM throwing this code is a external problem with power, but I feel kind of confident that I accounted for that. I'm not totally sure, honestly, but I've ordered the eBay one, and it'll be here within a month. I can keep driving it as is, I guess, until it totally dies. It does feel like the situation is degrading and getting worse. So I was looking at things like this is how to test capacitors. Yeah, here how to test MOSFETs and various other types of transistors.
The ECM removed. I'm gonna go ahead and check the power and ground going through the wiring harness. So I'm just gonna hook the battery back up. All right, so I'm down here in the wiring harness, and I made a cheat sheet. For the positives, they're all in the B connector for the 2000 Insight. So we're looking for B21, which is hot all the time, and then B1 and B6. And those are hot only with the ignition on. So the B connector is, it's a mirror image to what these pictures are. The connector is a mirror image. This is looking at the ECM side. So 1 is over here, 9 is down here, 21 is over here. Oh my God, pin 21 is the hot all the times. 12.67, that is hot all the times as labeled in the Honda service manual. That looks pretty good. Pins 1 and 9, which are over here, this one and this one. And those will be tested with the ignition on. Ignition on. 13.8. Holy shit. Maybe with the ignition on we're getting charge from the DC to DC converter. So we need to double check that other one. But let's go ahead and check pin 9 real quick. And look, 13.8. Let's double check that pin 21, 13.8. So the difference in voltage is just having the DC to DC converter activated. Okay, finally checking the grounds. I've done all of them, and they're all fine, but just to show you, I'm on the B10 and just checking resistance on the ground, since that's a easier thing to do on the ground. Look, little to no resistance, 0.2. Perfect. That's the same resistance you get through just crossing these directly. So I don't think it's a power or a ground issue. I think it's ECM. Okay, I got my camcorder hooked up to the TV. I'm going to use it as a microscope because it has a pretty awesome zoom, okay? I mean, it's a 10 times digital zoom. Let me get a little bit more light going. But I'm going to look at it under magnification on my TV. So let's see if more light helps the resolution. Yeah. I don't know anything about anything. This is a fairly complicated piece of machinery here. So this is what I installed. And somewhere in here's got to be the problem. I know, that is so stupid. But let's see how close we can zoom in. And still have focus. Alright, so focused. Focused. Alright, we're struggling a little bit like that. But what I want to check is just a few things, like these caps. What are they, bloated, out of square on the top? Is there any signs of degradation on these? I mean, those look pretty good. But this is pretty good setup, what I can see on my TV at least. I can read most of these numbers. That's pretty great. Okay, so honestly, I couldn't see any of this splatter that I did with the naked eye. I still can't see it without using this camera as a microscope. But I splattered shit everywhere. Don't worry though, there will be a redemption arc when I get the new ECM and I install this chip again. I'm gonna do it a different way. So anyways, another failed video. Hopefully the new ECM in a month will do me some good, but I don't know. I would like to get some ideas from you guys, what you think. Any experience with ECM failures where you have maybe half functionality of the hybrid system and you're getting all the bad signals, some sort of slow decay? Because 6-7 years ago, whenever this car first was taken to the shop that put the IMA batteries in backwards, it was brought there because it wouldn't start. The IMA was dead, so it wouldn't IMA start, but it also wouldn't do the 12 volt start. And let me block all those copies. And so maybe this was starting to have trouble back then, and then I put the new IMA in there and it was breezing along, but it was shutting down, losing power, and then I did my little chip and it was acting the same, but now it's starting to deteriorate a little bit faster. A number of misfire events or engine shut off events is what it feels like is increasing. So anyways, this video is way too long. Another failed attempt by me to do something hard, but maybe just throwing parts at it will get me going, because that's a mechanic stable in life, is just throw parts at it when you don't understand what's wrong and hope something sticks. So y'all be good. Peace. If this was any good, useful, I don't know, how about a thumbs up? Sorry, I'm e-begging, aren't I? Yeah, peace, dudes.